I've had those moments where you just look at the data and you see overspend yesterday or something like that, And then if you have built that relationship with your client, then it's much easier to tell them, okay, honestly, I made a mistake. I see this and this happen. This and this is what we're going to do about it. Sometimes I've even offered like, okay, this was my mistake. I'm going to work for free or I'm going to refund it. And then they said, no, dude, it happens. Did we learn from it? Okay, it's not going to happen again. Let's move on. Welcome back to the PPC Mastery Podcast. And of course, the GM. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how to retain clients, because in the previous episode, we shared our stories on how we got our first clients and what we're doing now to get more clients as a freelancer. And in this episode, we want to take it one step further by looking into strategies to apply to make sure that the clients stay with you for a long time. Because we mentioned this in the last episode as well. It's really nice working as a Google Ads specialist because the projects tend to be really long because Google Ads is such a always on, never ending story. And once you get a client, then it's definitely doable to keep them on for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years even. Just out of curiosity, actually, what's the longest time that you've worked with one client?
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah. 7 years.
Still working with them.
Still
now.
working.
Oh yeah. See, there you go. 7 years. That's crazy. Just imagine the lifetime value of those
I
clients.
have actually calculated this a few months ago.
Nice.
And I really fell off my chair.
It's a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot. Narrator. No, it's a lot. So basically this client cost me a few €100 to close.
Yeah.
They came in from my Google Ads campaign back then. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this one time over and then basically just use that money to fund the Google Ads spend that I needed to acquire them. But ever since, the monthly return has been incredible.
Nice.
And I've grown with this client every single year in terms of hours, in terms of work, in terms of spend, in terms of freedom, because that's worth a lot of money as well, indirectly. So 7 years in. That's a long time.
That's really nice. So we can definitely take that as a case study in this episode. So what we've done, we've defined 3 key areas, key pillars, to make sure that you can stay with the client for a longer time. So the first one is build trust and rapport at the personal level. I will just name the 3 of them, then we can just dive in. The second one is setting goals and evaluating them. And the third one, frequent proactive check-ins. So building trust and rapport on the personal level is really important. And did you also do that with that client?
Yeah.
For every still working with now
for every single client that I currently have, I have a great personal relationship. So I think when you're starting out as a freelancer, you're mostly focused on the revenue and making the switch, making the transition from agency side or client side to full-time freelancing.
Yeah.
So I guess really working on the relationship on personal level with your clients is something that comes in later on. It's also because of the fact that in the beginning, you will obtain a lot of clients that are not your ideal clients most of the time. But a few years in, a few years later, basically you start to polish your client portfolio and you can build trust and build trust on personal level.
Yeah.
So that's what I did for all of the clients that I currently serve. And this client is one of them. So I think it is really important to find clients that you have a great fit with on personal level next to business level. Yeah. Since everything that we do as a Google Ads specialist is mainly built on trust. Yeah. People have to trust you with their money. Yeah. And you need to have that click in terms of, well, do you like me? Do I like you? Yeah. In terms of can we hang out? Can we drink a beer together? And with my biggest clients that I really enjoy working with, I can essentially drink a beer together with them, hang out with them because they have become such good friends. Yeah. And it's sometimes hard to obtain the business relationship because the personal aspect becomes that big. Yeah. But I think those are your best clients and you really enjoy working for them. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think you should aim for becoming friends with your clients?
I think so. I think so. And I guess that's a hot take.
Yeah.
Since
definitely will be.
Since a lot of people like to keep things real
business
wise. But I think it's most enjoyable to work for clients that are like friends of you. That are like friends of you.
And it's nice because you mentioned trust a few times, and I think trust is actually the key word here. And whether you become friends or not with your clients, as long as you have a really deep level of trust, and it's easier to trust someone that you also like.
Yes.
And I think what happens if you build that trust on a deep level and you also connect on a personal level, then you can also get away with errors much more than otherwise. If it's such a cold business, it doesn't necessarily have to be cold, but if it's such a strictly business relationship,
then it's often cold.
Yeah, it's often cold.
Yeah.
And then it's really like, I've had those moments where you just look at the data and you see overspend yesterday or something like that, you know? And then if you have built that relationship with your client, then it's much easier to tell them, okay, honestly, I made a mistake. I see this and this happen. This and this is what we're going to do about it. Sometimes I've even offered like, okay, this was my mistake. I'm going to work for free, or I'm going to refund it. And then they said, no, dude, it happens. Did we learn from it? Okay, it's not going to happen again. Let's move on. Yeah. But if you have a really strict business relationship, then that's much
already
harder.
That's already like this, and people you're on the edge of then you're off.
And especially if you look at the example from the last episode that you said with the client that just basically scammed you. If that happens with a client like that, they're going to sue you because they say, you made a mistake. And, so that's why it's so important to
it's the same with bookkeeping, essentially, because we have the same bookkeeper right now, right? Yeah. So I fully trust this guy. I almost do not check the stuff he does because I fully trust in his capability to just fix the shit, you know? And if you ask him a question, he always has a great answer. He really goes into depth. He tells you everything that you have to know, but not more. And you can fully rely on him. And you are essentially, the same person. You're also responsible for a lot of money. You're also responsible for a business of your client, essentially. So you can compare a Google Ads specialist with an accounting specialist in essence. So it's all about trust. It's all about trust. And I think if your client can trust you fully, you have the freedom to do whatever it takes to bring the account to a higher level. The client of yours isn't going to check you every single week. What did he do? He isn't going to hop in the change history to see if you really made 5 hours or if you just made 4.75, so to say. So that's what I want to say about it.
Absolutely.
It makes it real easy.
Yeah, and it also makes it more fun because then you have the freedom, you feel free in the accounts, then you know that, okay, I'm the guy that's managing the campaigns. And I don't have someone watching over my shoulder. And then you just say, okay, we want to test X, Y, and Z. Now we want to test value-based bidding. Now we want to test server-side tech, blah, blah, whatever it is. And then ideally, they will just say, okay, let's go.
Let's try it.
You have your whole deck ready to convince them. You're like, okay, this is how I'm going to persuade you. And then they say, okay, let's do it. And they're like,
I trust you.
Okay, nice. Yeah, exactly. That's what you want to reach.
Yeah, and I think the clients that gave me a hard time in the past are the clients that didn't fully trust me, or I didn't have the feeling that they believe in me or they fully trusted me because of some errors in the past with other Google Ads freelancers or whatever. And those were the clients that I eventually stopped working for in the end, because you feel as a Google Ads specialist whether you're being trusted or not. So, and if people do not trust you, you have to really be convincing in everything that you have to say, everything that you want to pitch, and it is tiring. It becomes tiring, especially if you have clients on the other side that are basically giving you a carte blanche. Hey, dude, do whatever it takes to bring my account to a higher level. I believe in you. Let's go. So it's a big, big, big pillar.
And I think trust is built by one result for sure.
Of course.
Yeah, that's what they hire you for. So if you can show them the results, then of course you get trust. But it's also communicating. Because I think that I've had that experience as well in the past. Also when I was still working in an agency and in my own client portfolio. Sometimes so how do I explain this? Sometimes it's easier to have bad results, but good relationship, because then the client will feel the trust that you will do whatever it takes to fix it and to take it to the next level. Than it is to have great results, but a bad relationship, and they don't trust you because even though the results are good, they're looking over your shoulder all of the time. And then it becomes really annoying. And then if you have a really good working relationship and personal relationship with your client, then it's much easier to take the hits of those bad days, because they always happen. You always have periods when the performance drops.
Always. Not every month is a green month.
Nothing goes up all the time. No. And then you can
especially Shiba Inu.
Yeah. Except for Doge. Doge always goes up.
Sorry. Just have to make this.
No, but anyway, let's move on to point 2.
I'm so sorry.
Crypto.
I'm so sorry.
That's
okay. How do you make sure to communicate here?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think let's take it one step back, actually, because that's the third one. But the second one is setting goals and evaluating them, because that's also where communication comes into play.
Yeah.
Because you set them before you start to work together, and you evaluate them every quarter, every year or so. Because then you're always on the same, you're on the same page, working towards the same goals. And then it becomes easy to say to your client, okay, this is what we wanted to achieve. This is what we achieved. Either we performed on target, over target, under target, and X, Y, and Z is Y. But I've also had a lot of cases where we didn't define those goals clearly, and then the clients are just like never really happy or always unsatisfied. And then it's
terrible.
It's terrible for everybody.
That happens at a lot of agencies.
Yeah.
A lot of agencies they do not set proper goals, proper targets, and they just make the amount of hours they have sold.
Yeah.
They just start working on search term reports, improving ad copy, but they never know when the client is happy or not, when they are on target or below target. So often when you look inside of an agency account or agency relationships, like 50% of the client portfolio isn't really satisfied because they didn't clearly define goals.
Yeah.
So that's where you have to start with. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from those, when you set those goals, you can evaluate them. And I think that leads to the third point is frequent proactive check-ins with your client. So what does that mean? Yeah. What does that do if you have frequent check-ins with your clients?
So there are multiple things to say about this point. I think it's the first thing that I would like to say here is to always check in, even if the results are extremely good, but also when results are extremely bad.
True.
So you have to celebrate your wins and you have to, communicate your losses.
Yeah.
And if you are honest and proactive about certain weeks when you performed below target, or when you had this crazy deal that you closed or your client closed and it came from your Google Ads campaigns, you have to always be communicating. You have to always be one step ahead of your client in essence. Yeah. So you do not want to receive a mail on Monday morning, 10 a.m. Hey, last Friday was really, really, really shitty.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
Because if you... That's the worst. If you receive one of those emails, okay, it can happen. But if you start receiving them every single month or every single quarter, then something is wrong in your own communication, and you have to be on the ball. Yeah. So that's important to always be proactive, be communicating clearly, and especially the clearly part is really important over here, because people tend to communicate and they tend to have a great idea. Okay, I'm having a lot of contact points with my client, but then the clearly communicating part is missing over there, and they're just rambling, or they're not being clear about the next steps or what went wrong and what we can prevent in the near future from this happening again. So you really have to be clear in what you want to achieve and be clear in, follow-up questions that your client may have when your email has been sent. Yeah,
it's actually funny because I just wrote that down as a note. Do not forget, don't let them find out, because and what I mean with that is be proactive, not try to hide what you have done or try to hide the bad results. No.
Sorry, man, we lost access to our account.
Yeah. Oops, my bad. No, but it's exactly what you said. You don't want the client to find out before you tell them. Yeah. Because then if you take it back to the trust level again, then if you communicate to them when it's not going well, that's going to signal to your client that, oh, okay, you're being honest even when the results are not as great.
And you're on it. You're on the ball.
You're on it. Yeah.
And that's a really important part as well. Yeah. Because if you are communicating faster than your client and you're finding out faster than your client, that means that signals to your client that you're checking the results often.
Yeah.
And that's where you're hired for.
And that's what they don't want to look inside a Google Ads account. They just want to have the feeling that you're going to do that so that they can do other stuff.
Yeah. They're hiring you for that purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And when it comes down to reporting, how do you do that? Do you do? I've heard people do weekly reports, monthly, quarterly. What's your approach to that?
I think it depends on what your client needs and what your client expects, and obviously the size of your client. So working for Weight Watchers, for example, means reporting every single week on last week's results because they have, massive spend across the globe. Yeah. They want to check in within every market, see if their CPA to CLTV rates are intact. If not, we have to adjust fast in order to prevent overspending and whatnot. So for the bigger clients with really huge levels of spend, it becomes more important to check in frequently. But if you have smaller clients, they're often okay with a monthly report and a monthly check-in call. Yeah. So for most clients that I currently work with, I check in on a monthly basis where we just plan a video call. Yeah. So I prevent sending out reporting emails. I've done that in the past when I first started out in the first couple of years, the first 4 years. But I really hated writing out every single monthly report. Yeah. Hey, last month we did 5,000 clicks and the month prior to that we had 6,000. That's a minus 20% change, blah, 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 blah. So I really hated that. So that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to ditch that part if the client is okay with that. And we're going to have a video call instead. Yeah. Because one, you have a visual contact point that builds trust. And two, you do not have to write 10 plus reports every single first Monday of the week, which is terrible.
Which a lot of them are not going to be read anyway.
Yes. More than 50% is not reading those emails. They're like, okay, Bob did his job again. Yes, he needed 1 hour for this that we paid him for. Yeah. But more than half the clients wasn't even reading those reports. Yeah. So video call is way, way, way more effective in my opinion. And if you can replace that by a physical meeting, that's even better. But a lot of us are working from home, working remotely.
Physical meetings are really nice, but I will say I really like that you can do everything online now because it saves a lot of time as well.
Yeah. But physical meetings,
every once in a while is nice.
A video meeting is like 1 hour, 1.5 hour max. If you do a physical meeting, you have chit chat.
Exactly.
A meeting will cost you 3 hours.
You have to go there and go back.
More than double of the amount of hours. But I would highly suggest, doing at least one physical meeting every single half a year.
Yeah, that's quite nice.
That's really good for your relationship. Yeah. And if you can, and if the client is okay with that, replace it by an online meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the frequent check-ins, and that's when I like to discuss the Google Ads returns and the results. Did we perform on target, above target, under target? What was the spend? What was the conversion volume, stuff like that. And every single quarter, I like to do a quarterly review. Yeah. That is most of the time a video meeting, sometimes a physical meeting. And it is more of a presentation instead of a screen share of a Looker Studio report. Right. Look, this is what we did. So that's when I do some preparation about what the actual results were of last quarter in comparison with the quarter before and last year's quarter. So year on year, what we did. So what were the optimization made? What were the things that we tested with? What are the things that are on the agenda for the next few months? Yeah. So it's more like a bigger check-in point to be on the same page as the client. And that's when you can also ask about the business. So how are things going? How are your stock levels? How are the
profit margins?
The profit margins. Yeah. During COVID, shipping costs basically doubled, sometimes tripled. Yeah, it's insane. Margins really went down. And those meetings were really important to adjust break-even ROAS targets and actual target ROAS, ROAS targets. So they really, really help. Yeah. And then we have the yearly meetings that I'm also a fan of. So I do monthly check-ins for Google Ads results, quarterly meetings for, check-ins, and then yearly reviews to discuss the next year's plans mainly, but also a quick look back on what we performed last year. Yeah. And I think that really works for me, at least.
Those sessions are usually also fun as well, especially if you had really good growth that year. Oh, yeah. You can really celebrate that together.
Yeah. And for your biggest clients, often you see the spend like in a parabolic trend, but also the results oftentimes. Yeah. So it's more of a party oftentimes to celebrate the success. Yeah.
Which is important.
Yeah, which is important, and it builds trust and it builds your relationship. And it also is a nudge for the next year that you're going to hopefully perform again and deliver on your promises that you are making in that specific meeting. Yeah. So I think that's really important.
Are you doing that approach of the monthly check? How long are the monthly check-ins?
Oftentimes an hour.
An hour?
Yeah.
And then you have the quarterly meetings.
They're, I think, close to 2 hours.
Yeah. And then
because you have more to discuss and also to recap.
And yearly same.
Yeah, yearly is also 2 hours. Yeah. Something like that.
I assume you don't do that for all your clients, right?
No, so only the bigger ones. Only the bigger ones. If you have a client that only spends 300, 500 euros per month, I tend to, be a little bit less frequent with all of these meetings. So a monthly meeting becomes a quarterly meeting and a quarterly meeting becomes a yearly meeting. And it really depends on, what they are paying you for as well. Yeah. So if they're paying you for 2 hours per month and you have to do every single optimization in a limited amount of time, you do not have time to properly prepare for these kinds of meetings.
Yeah, what I'm a fan of right now with smaller clients that you don't have too much time for is doing the monthly check-ins, like you said, that creating or maybe not even creating a report, but if you have a Looker Studio dashboard, then doing a quick Loom video, 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And then, you record it and then you send it to them. If you have any questions, just let me know. Yeah. They can reply. And then it's nice because you can also type an email, but as you said, I also don't like to type those long emails. No. And if you do a 10-15 minute video, they can watch it on 1.5 times speed. And plus they see you. So it's personal as well. Yeah, I really like that approach as well.
Definitely. And that's something I learned from you.
Nice.
And I think that's one of the easiest optimizations you can do for your monthly check-ins because you can throw out these videos quite easily instead of just writing this long email that you have
too long to read.
Yeah, TLDRs.
TLDR.
And often people do not even read the TLDR because the email has been so long.
TLDR.
They're like, okay, later list. And a video, they can easily watch this waiting for a bus or driving to work or even in a gym during a gym session or whatever. So that's a really, really good tip.
And I like to do that as well, not only for the monthly check-in or monthly reports, but also sometimes if there is a big event in the account, something happened or I see opportunity, and I also do quick Loom videos sometimes like 2-3 minutes,
Yeah, instead of just sending an email, we switched from ROAS to POAS last week and we saw a huge fluctuation. Right now, everything's normalizing. Yeah. That's great to shoot a little video for. Yeah. And oftentimes you get compliments from clients.
That as well.
That's a nice tool. This is a nice way, a great way of working.
Because it's new. Almost nobody actually does it that way. So.
Yeah, and it's modern. It saves you, and it's modern.
Modern, true. And it saves you so much time because if you can record a 3-minute video, if it's your account, so you know what is going on. So you can explain it really easy. But if you have to sit back and take the time to write it out in a clear and concise email, then it's going to take you at least 30 minutes.
Then you have to think about the paraphrasing, and the order of the email,
screenshots, and everything. Now
you can just share a screen and you
can ramble a bit, and that doesn't have to be so perfect. Yeah. Let's see.
Great point.
So the quarterly business reviews, do you also have them sometimes with Google? Because I know that they are heavy on that as well.
Yeah, but
QBRs.
I only do them for the biggest clients. So I have currently 3 accounts that are really big in terms of spend and in terms of assistance from Google. And that's where the Google reps are often good. They're serious in giving you concise and clear tips and optimizations. This is where you often get access to product specialists like Neil Kirby as well, that we both knew. Neil. No. So those are the important meetings that also give you a lot of new insights. They also have these competitor benchmarks, peer-to-peer reviews. Yeah. So those are the reviews that I like to attend. But the calls for the mid TP and reps. lower end, I tend to ignore them. Yeah. I tend to reply on their emails. Yeah. I do not pick up the phone when they call. In fact, I've blocked the telephone number because it's often a Spanish number. Yeah. I've just blocked it. So now they email me instead, and I just politely thank them for the fact that they want to call, but I do not see a reason to do so because I have my own prioritization list of to-dos that I've discussed with my clients as well. And that's a very big one as well. Make sure to have a big backlog of to-dos and frequently share this with your client. So how do you do this? Because we're both fan of Notion. Yeah. Do you also use Notion to
log it? Yeah. Yeah, I think I used to be all over the place. I've tried Trello, Asana, Monday. Now I use Notion, and I don't have a system. It's just literally a list of backlog. How we use Notion for PPC Mastery as well. Yeah, it's just a list with some checkboxes like, okay, this is what we can do. This is what we did. Or you can also use like the Kanban templates, but usually I keep it really simple. What about you?
I have things really systemized right now. So I'm also using Notion. I came from Asana, but I really like Notion for these types of stuff because you can literally do all the things that you want to do with it. So creating a backlog of all of the things that you can do for a specific client, the things that you're currently doing right now, things that are blocked because you're waiting for a developer to implement certain conversion tracking techniques. It's important as well. And also keep track of a list of the things that are completed and done. So I've created a Kanban list for every single client. Doesn't matter if they're small or large. Obviously, the larger clients have way more stuff to do and have way more things on their to-do list and backlog than the smaller clients. But it really, really helps to update this Kanban per client and share this with them in your monthly check-ins because they see the way you're working. They see how systemized you are, and that builds trust as well. They can actually see your internal system. So this is not something that I share with my clients. I share it during the monthly calls because it is my to-do list, and we prioritize all of the tasks together during the monthly calls. But I do not mess within my Kanban board. I do not let them create certain cards or log certain comments. So that really helps. What also helps is to keep track of every single thing that you have discussed with your clients. That also helps in building trust, being clear, communicating clear. So every time I have a meeting, doesn't matter if it's planned or not, I tend to write it out in a really simple email, which are basically what are the notes, meeting notes. They're kind of meeting notes, so to say. So I just create a small email where I start with the client name in the topic, then meeting notes of date. Well, what is it today? 16th of August, 2023. And then I list all of the things that we have discussed, really short and concise, and the action points. So what are we going to do right now? Just send it over, just so we have that on paper. Then I transfer that to the Kanban board on Notion. And it really, really gives you a clear list of the things that you have to do, prioritized this month, but also the things that you have discussed that are less important, that you can zoom in on the month after next month. So there's always something to do if you keep track of the things that you communicate with your clients and discuss with your clients. And that really helps in your relationship as well. If you are all over the place, so if you are just creating your own notes inside of a small booklet or sending over emails and then creating a video, I think that is less effective and less professional than if you have a clear system that your client can actually see.
That's nice. And I think it also helps, as I think about it, I think it also helps when clients are demanding and they say, I think we should do this and this and this. And then you just say, sure, but we already decided to go for these projects. So what are we going to do? Exactly. Or we do something else next month. Switch it around.
And that keeps track of your time. That prevents you from overworking for some clients. And that's quite easy to do if you're starting out. You're like, okay, I'm invoicing this client for 6 hours, but I want to I want to build trust and I want to over deliver, but you cannot consistently overwork and be underpaid. So you have to be very clear in what you have to prioritize and what you can deliver this month. And that's something that I like to do during the monthly meetings.
Yeah. So we had building trust and rapport on the personal level, a lot of different examples. And that's probably like trust is the single most important thing in retaining clients, right?
Yes, obviously. Yeah.
So then the second one was setting goals and evaluating them and frequent proactive check-ins. Here's a final one, quick question to round it off. This is from Hester in PPC Hub membership. She asked, what are your thoughts on promotional gifts with clients? What's your personal take on that?
Okay, my personal take. I do not like to buy trust.
Bribe.
Yeah, it feels like bribing. And often the promotional gifts are cheesy. They're often cheesy. Yeah. So if you receive like a pencil,
unless you receive customized PPC Mastery merch.
yeah, that could be a bribe as well.
Yeah, true.
Depends what you want to achieve with this. But yeah, if you receive a small book or a drinking bottle with your logo, I think it's so cheesy. People I think they have their kitchen full with these kinds of toys and stuff already. They're like, okay, well, great. Now I have to find an additional place for this. So I'm not doing these kinds of gifts. The only thing that I like to do are basically on two specific moments. The first moment is when a new client came in and the new campaigns or the newly restructured campaigns are live. That's when I like to send out a pie or some sweets in order to celebrate that we just kicked off a new campaign and we started working together. So that's something clients tend to like. And they tend to like that. They tend to, and it's nice as well.
Nice
some sweets are often good. So that's the number one. And the second thing is during Christmas. I like to send out Christmas gifts, but I like to make them personal.
Yeah, exactly.
So I really do my best to create a personal, local gift. So in the region where I live, where we both grew up, there are a lot of small farms set up with little shops. And a lot of these farms often work with their own products or local source products. And I like to package these gifts myself, a nice little wooden box, for example, and then send them out by myself as well. And that way you make your gifts personalized, where people actually see that you have put some effort in it with a nice handwritten card. What I absolutely despise are wine bottles or champagne bottles or standard stuff that people just buy online on, greets.nl or where you can actually see that people were like, oh, we have to send Miles a gift.
I forgot.
We forgot last minute, or let's just send him a champagne, a Moet or a wine bottle, a nice wine. That's something that I do not do or do not like personally. So I like to put in the work, and those are the only moments that I like to send over gifts.
Yeah, and it's all about making it personal, like you said as well. I don't really give out promotional gifts either. Or if you call it a promotional gift, then it's already like, what's the reason? But if you give it because you want to give something away to your client, and just like how you give a gift to someone on their birthday, then it's completely fine.
I actually have a third reason where I do like to give gifts, and that are important personal milestones. So a few months ago, a partner of mine that I really like working with, they had a kid. So that's when I basically sat down with Tara, my wife, and looked at, hey, what can we give, like a proper nice gift for this little boy that was born. So we gave him a little tricycle made of wood, handcrafted, really nice, almost like a nice piece of art. And they were so happy with it because we also put in the work, and we made it personal. So those kinds of gifts are way more important than the bottles with the logo and the pencil. This crap.
Very nice, very nice. The only thing that I gave was a client of mine hit their first $1 million month.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and then that was a couple years ago. And then I gave them like a little trophy, and it said the name of the client and then first $1 million month gift.
That's epic.
And then now they still have it in their office. So
that's epic.
I come there, I see the trophy. I'm like, nice.
Yeah.
We did that together.
Those are the best moments.
Yeah.
And those are the best gifts.
Yeah.
And if you want to give a gift like this, make sure to be it like a proper gift.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Make it nice and personal.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that was it for today's episode. I think that was a really
fun
nice
one.
Session. Fun one. Yeah. To all you listening, thank you for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching.